So welcome, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me and making your way across the busy conference. My name is Dominika Malinowska, and I'll spend the next half an hour or so telling you a little bit more about SkyShowtime and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way whilst building out a data platform. Let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. So I'm the head of data engineering at SkyShowtime, having previously worked in software and data engineering across media, fintech, and legal industries. I've shared my contact details as well on there in case you like the talk and wanted to connect afterwards, or if you've got any questions. Can I get a quick show of hands of how many people here have heard of SkyShowtime before? All right, a good amount. And the SkyShowtime people at the end raised their hands. So that's also a good start. Cool. So for those of you who haven't heard of SkyShowtime, we are a streaming service available in mainland Europe. We are 50-50 owned by Comcast and Paramount. We are not available in the UK, unfortunately, but you can think about us a little bit like the Now TV of Europe, similar type service. We are available in over 20 different markets that are split into kind of 3 groups: Northern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe, and Iberia. Our content is in 19 different languages. That's a little bit of extra context for you, which will become important later, and there may or may not be a little pop quiz at the end. So SkyShowtime was first registered as a company in November 2021. I actually wasn't around then, but I had to look it up on Companies House. It wasn't until April 2022 when the first commit was made on our main GitHub repo. But the service itself started launching in September 2022. So less than 6 months after the first commit, we've had the service go live in the Nordics, and the rollout continued until February 2023. So all in all, we had less than 6 months to stand up a data platform that would be able to provide reporting for the business for our key metrics, such as the all-important signups and content views. So how did we do it? How did we start from 0 to a fully operating data platform in less than 6 months? Well, I'm going to be honest, we actually didn't do it on our own. The great thing about being a company that's owned by some very, very successful and rich parents is that they can help us out. So Comcast owns Sky in the UK. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Sky brand, and actually there's a few Sky people here in the room as well who've worked on the project, so they'll all know that we utilize the data processing platform that Sky provides for all its propositions. But as well as that, we were able to leverage the data platform that was used by Peacock, which is another Comcast proposition available in the US, and use it as a bit of a lift and shift. I will show you what our data platform architecture looks like and how it's split between Sky and SkyShowtime. So where you can see the line in the middle where the Sky side is, and the SkyShowtime side, which we had help from Peacock on. I will talk about both sides in a little bit more detail. Let me start with the Sky part. So here on the very left, I don't think my pointer works, so I'll walk over. So on the very left here, we've got the SkyShowtime app. You can think about that as the web app, the mobile apps that are available, general SkyShowtime, which is the source of majority of our data. We've then have this box that's the data ingestion platform, and Sky, which, despite being represented as a single box, is a host of microservices that sanitize and transform data. All the data is then outputted into BigQuery tables, which are organized in fairly logical way and make available to SkyShowtime. Onto the SkyShowtime side, we take the data that Sky make available for us. We also ingest our own data from our third-party partners and other sources, our partners such as Mayo in the Netherlands or Movistar in Spain. We use Airflow for our data pipeline orchestration. So majority of our ingestion is on batch basis, and we use BigQuery as our data warehouse. We follow the medallion architecture, so we've got bronze, silver, and gold tables. The data that we take from Sky, we tend to treat as our bronze tables, and we have our silver tables, which are transformed user-level data. One example of such table could be a user table, which would provide a daily snapshot of our subscribers and whether they're active, when was the last time they watched a piece of content, whether they sign up on a promotion, various business metrics. And then we have our gold layer, which is the aggregate layer. And our gold layer serves our Tableau dashboards, which are used across the business. We also have a data science team who use Vertex AI for the machine learning models. We also found that whilst our business users like looking at dashboards, they also want to interact with the data, and are not particularly keen on doing so in SQL. So we are currently in the process of rolling out Amplitude to allow that self-service data capability. And finally, we send data to our third-party CRM providers, Particle and Braze, that are used for customer communications. So that's our data platform. We actually built out, I would say, about 70 to 80% of this data platform in those first 6 months. And so how did we do it? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't actually do it from scratch. We used Sky to do the initial processing, some of the sanitizing, anonymizing, and presenting that data to us. We then lifted and shifted from Peacock, which helped us design our tables, our main tables. And as well as that, we also had the Peacock team at hand who have been through a similar launch process and who were there to support us, answer any questions, and provide advice. And that's it. We've delivered a data platform. And it worked really well, and nothing ever went wrong, and we all lived happily ever after. Well, I wouldn't actually be here if it all went so smoothly and the rollout took 6 months and everything worked. And very early on, we've encountered a number of different issues. So Peacock as a service is US-based. That means a single country in a single language. Whereas, as you may remember from the earlier slides, we have over 20 territories in 19 languages. That instantly introduced an additional level of complexity in essentially all of our data models. We had to account for the different territories, the different languages. Our content is not available in every country at the same time. Our users also went through a very different subscription journey. So Peacock, from the outset, had 2 separate tiers. It had a free tier with adverts, and it had a paid tier that was ad-free. SkyShowtime started with a single tier, which was you either pay and watch the content, or you don't have access to SkyShowtime. And that meant that our definition of who the active users are were different. We didn't have to account for any ads. So our tables and data models look very different. Related to localization, our content metadata is also very different. We have content in English, but we also have local content. Our SkyShowtime app displays content in a local language of the user, which means that a single piece of content could have 19 variations of titles. It could be available at different times. Certain seasons of a TV show would launch in one territory and then not launch in another one for another 6 months. And yet our business would be interested in how the content is performing across all and individual territories. You may have already guessed, moving on to financial data, over 20 countries also means different currencies. We had to account for our financial reports, we had to account for different currencies, we had to do a currency conversion, make sure all the money adds up, and also tax rules. They're different across various countries, unsurprisingly. And finally, tech debt. It would be very naive of us to think that a data platform that was operational for 2 to 3 years before we came along and decided to borrow some of the code, that all the code was perfect in every single way. And reality was we had to, on top of having to adjust the models to suit our needs, we also had to work through a lot of tech debt and make sure that we don't introduce any incorrect data into our platform. But we did it. We managed to launch the data platform in time for the launches, so in time from the September to February 2023. But that wasn't, and we took a little bit of time to regroup, refactor our code, clean up where we needed. But we didn't have a lot of time to do that because our business is very ambitious and it moves fast. And so we had to as well. And in April 2024, we launched an advertising tier, which was swiftly followed by a launch of a premium tier in October 2024. I won't go into detail as to why, but for a number of reasons, the implementations were different, and it meant that a big chunk of our data models had to be rewritten again to support both the advertising tier and then the premium tier, and our customers needed to be migrated onto those new tiers. I have a sneak peek here of what the tier offering looks like now. So we've got the premium tier on top, followed by the standard tier and the standard with ads. If anyone is from the SkyShowtime territories, feel free to have a look yourself and sign up. But this time round, we didn't have Peacock to lift and shift from. Peacock haven't been through a similar journey as ourselves. We also didn't have anyone to support us in terms of answering questions or providing advice. We had to do it on our own. And once again, I'm pleased to say that we managed to get there. We managed to deliver the data model updates in time for our launches, which is a great story to tell the business. But reflecting back as to how and why we were able to deliver on time in such a short period of time, there were two main pillars, and that's our people and the development practices that we set for ourselves. Starting with people, it wasn't just the people or the developers that wrote the code and it meant that things worked. There was actually a lot more that went into having a successful team. And here are some of the qualities that really stood out over that first 18 months, couple of years really, both during the launches and whilst we were rolling out the advertising and premium tiers. And we do look for these qualities as well when we hire going forward. And firstly, that was curiosity. For those of you that have worked with big data, you'll find that there is about 100 different user journeys at any time and different edge cases and things. There's always a race condition that will ruin what you expect a user journey to be. And we had people that were willing to dig into that data, compare timestamps, really trying to figure out what the edge cases are and how we can handle those in our code. At the same time, our people are creative, and we having this shared data platform that you've seen in the first couple of slides, the architecture slides. It means that we can't always do what we want. We have to work with our partners. We don't control everything, and sometimes we have to work outside the box to get things done. And that's exactly what our teams will do. And one good example of that is one of our engineers, quite early on, came up with a framework to dynamically generate Airflow DAGs, which hugely reduced the amount of code that needs to be written every time we want to deploy a new data model, and actually removed a lot of errors along the way as well. And finally, our people are pragmatic, so it's great to be curious and creative and think of best solutions and different solutions out of the box. But we had very tight timescales, and we needed to deliver on time. And so sometimes the best solution was the one that worked, and sometimes we had to accept that. And moving on to development practices, I'm sure you'll recognize all of these. They are borrowed from software engineering, but are very much applicable in data engineering. We keep it simple. We don't write code just to show off our skills. The code is there to be easily understandable by anyone who reads it. We have agreed coding standards and style guides. If a piece of code isn't going to be used, it can go. We don't keep commented out code. We don't write code because it may be useful in the future. Yes, we try and understand what the requirements are and what the bounds of the requirements are and what the future use cases may be, but we don't try and unnecessarily future-proof. But at the same time, if we know that something's going to be used more than once, we try and extract it into helper functions or Airflow operators to make sure that if we ever need to update it again, we update it in a single place. And so it doesn't introduce additional complexity. But despite having the great people, great team in place, and the good development practices, we are still working on solving quite a few challenges from those early years. Sadly, we couldn't just claim success and call it a day. We've introduced our own tech debt. The pragmatism I talked about earlier, it means that sometimes we will just accept that a solution can be suboptimal, and we may have to go back to it later and work through it. And that's where we are. We still have some refactoring to do. An interesting one is the operator model. So by using a lift and shift from Peacock, we actually inadvertently inherited the operating model, which isn't necessarily suited for our business. Peacock is a large company with a large platform, a lot of customers, a lot of data engineers, and a lot of analysts that can write custom scripts and custom dashboards and support one-off insights very easily for all of their stakeholders. We have much smaller teams, and we can't serve every single stakeholder within the business in a timely manner. And so we need to do more with less, and we need our stakeholders to do more. And that's why we are investing into Amplitude to try and create more of a self-serve data culture at SkyShowtime. There's also data quality. Who isn't worried about the data quality? We we do what we can. We've got some alerts. When we create new data models, we try and think about what could go wrong. But we still have a long way to go. It has not been a priority because when you try and roll out a data platform in 6 months, there are certain trade-offs you will have to make, and data quality has been one of those. And so we are looking to invest more time into data quality. And having gotten to over 2 years, we're actually coming up to 3 years. It's time to start looking at our costs, particularly our platform costs. We have some suboptimal tables, again, trade-offs. And it's something that we are looking at more actively. So what's next for us? Well, I think I've covered some of those already, but we continue to enabling our business 2025 initiatives. We've got Q4 to go with some big promotions coming up. We are looking at 2026 and what 2026 looks for us and the business and what the main goals are. We're redesigning and refactoring, so we're very much dealing with that tech debt. We are trying to reduce the cloud costs, and we're looking at some of our most costly queries and dashboards and whether there is some improvements to be made there. A big one is enabling that self-service data via Amplitude, and that's both integrating with Amplitude but also empowering our business users to dig into data and try and learn as much as they can from the data itself. And finally, we're looking to invest into data quality. So that is a lot, and it's all happening at once, and we are always busy, but it's all part of the fun. And before I finish up, I just wanted to leave you with some takeaways. And the first one being use accelerators where possible. Greenfield projects are fun. It is, from an engineering perspective, is really fun to work on. But actually, when you've got ambitious goals and when you've got tight timelines, there's nothing wrong with relying on your partners to looking at what blueprints are available. And the small decisions can have long-term impacts, whether it's good or bad, whether it's introducing the right engineering standards, or whether it's inheriting an operating model that's not suitable for your business. And finally, people really are our superpower. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for our team, who went above and beyond to deliver the platform and continue to deliver really good quality work and enjoyed doing so. And that's all. That's all from me. Thanks, everyone. Do we have any questions? Go ahead. Okay, so the question was, what was the size of the team in the first 6 months? So we started with, so I actually joined as the first full-time SkyShowtime data engineer, but worked with 3 consultant data engineers, and we slowly hired more internal engineers and kind of phased out the consultant side. Any more questions? Oh, I think there's a mic coming around.
Thank you. So I've worked on some of the projects we spoke earlier, and I found that basically as the platform scales, the more stuff you have, the more basically things can wrong, obviously. So what are some things that you've done? You mentioned automated Airflow DAGs earlier.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you've done basically to speed up, development and maintenance of the platform in like automated testing, monitoring, CI, and so on?
Sure. So yeah, the framework to create Airflow DAGs has probably been the biggest piece of work that we've done that enabled scaling the platform. Automating testing is another one that we've introduced. We've also introduced SQL query parsing at serialization rather than runtime for Airflow, so we know when issues appear before they go live. We have, on a more of a process side, we introduce a development process that all engineers follow to make sure that everything is thoroughly tested. And we do follow, we have style guides and engineering standards that we try and follow.
So you mentioned that it took 6 months to develop a platform, which is an amazing feat. I was interested in how were you able to make it privacy compliant as well in that short amount of time. And so 6 months was the platform, but how long did it take to drive some value, some business value from the platform that you created here? That's it. And I can elaborate more if you want.
Yeah, sure. In terms of privacy compliance, so we are GCP based, so we leverage the capabilities of GCP. So we use role-based access for our data layers. It is used internally by SkyShowtime only as well. And we have a SRE team that sits within Sky that helped us with standing up the infrastructure. In terms of how we then drew business insights, or how we enable the platform to drive business insights, our gold layer within a data warehouse served the Tableau dashboards. So we have a business analysis team who was then creating those Tableau dashboards and made those available to the end users. So the build out of Tableau dashboards was happening at the same time as we were building out the silver and the gold layers. And so the actual business insights were available as soon as we were finished. So it wasn't people didn't wait for the data models to be finished to start building dashboards. They were being built at the same time. Hopefully that answers your question.
Hi. Yeah, so I wanted to ask, so I saw that there's quite a few tools in your tech stack, and I just wanted to know, like, when you were building everything, and like, how did you decide which tools to use for which part of your stack? And did you go with any like open source alternatives as well, rather than like doing SaaS? Because I remember you said cost is now becoming like a concern. So do you think that it might be a good idea to offsource some things to open source? Because I mean, I've heard pitches all day for like different products, but just wanted to hear your take on that.
Yeah, sure. So, to be honest, we actually didn't get choice in terms of what tools to use. So that came as part of the lift and shift. All of the infrastructure, we've got exactly the same thing that Peacock had for their data platform. And if I'm perfectly honest, I'm not sure that, thinking back at it, we would have chosen the same tech stack. And that was possibly our bigger challenge than choosing, is the not having ability to choose. And those are some of the restrictions that we do have to work within as part of the hybrid model that we've seen with Sky and SkyShowtime. In terms of the cost saving, at the moment, looking at our costs, our biggest cost savings will be in the data warehouse space. So we are reviewing our silver and gold tables, whether all of them are still needed. Our business has moved on for nearly 3 years. Are they using all the dashboards? Are dashboards built well? Are the gold tables scanning all of the data, or are they using partitions effectively? So those are all the questions that we're currently asking ourselves and refactoring where needed. Cool. I think we are pretty much on time. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining me, and enjoy the rest of the conference.